What's up, everybody? I am joined by Corey from the West Ham Way, and we're going to have a chat around what I thought was going to be just Jarrod Bowen, but then I found out that Corey has a couple of questions on the Liverpool side as well. So, firstly, mate, how the hell are you? Great to have you back on.
Yeah, good to be back, mate. I'm good. West Ham unbeaten in pre-season so far. It's all I can ask for. Again, the last time I spoke to you, I think Liverpool beat us 3-0 at the London Stadium. So we had a great end to the season. We're in the Europa League next season. Things are kicking on. I'm sure, like Liverpool fans, again, you want a couple more signings through the door, and hopefully we'll get it in the next couple of weeks. But I can't complain, mate. To be honest, I've had a brilliant season, and long live this one. I can't wait.
Proud season ticket holder now as well, mate. Congratulations on that one.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to get in the ground. Obviously, we've got a pre-season next week against Atalanta, and they've just got into the Champions League, and they've got some fantastic players. And I've been there for nearly 2 years now, and a lot of people are the same. So it'll be 60,000 West Ham fans. It'll be good atmosphere. And listen, what Moyes has done with West Ham over the past season also has been unbelievable. So hopefully we build on it this season. I'm sure we'll talk about a certain player that I've got a lot of faith in Jarrod Bowen, and yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, look, I'll cut the foreplay. I'll just get straight into it. So
Yeah, go for it, man.
I have to admit, when I seen the links to Jarrod Bowen for us, I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised because we all know that everybody's on the lookout for homegrown talent. And there's no denying Jarrod Bowen had a very good season for you guys last year. I didn't realise, I assumed that he came up through your youth system. I didn't realise that you guys had actually went and bought the guy. That's how little I knew about him. So from your side, I know we've spoken offline about this a little bit. You think that there's no way in hell that Bowen's going anywhere. Would I be correct in assuming that?
No, I don't think he goes anywhere from the West Ham side. I mean, he's obviously had a season and a bit now with us. He's improving. I think he got 6 goals, 8 assists last year, which doesn't seem a lot, but like we consider, he's come up from the Championship. He's improved massively since he's been at West Ham. I think this is his breakout season. I know people rate him across the Premier League, but I think this is the year where we start to see him come to the fore in terms of consistency. If you're asking me, I wouldn't let him go at all. I think we touched on it about squad depth. You know, West Ham can't really afford to let anyone go. And the way that they're operating in pre-season, he's becoming almost that secondary striker to Mikel Antonio. And Antonio's the one dropping deeper. So we obviously know that West Ham don't really have a natural number 9 at the minute. We're trying to get Tammy Abraham in. There's no way he's going. I know it's interesting. I've actually quite enjoyed hearing Liverpool's fans' opinion on Jarrod Bowen. The sheer shock because he's been at West Ham and he's obviously been at Hull City, and it's obviously not in the echelon of Mane, Salah, Firmino. But I'm not surprised with the link either, if I'm honest. As a player, I do think he would suit your system. If I'm looking at it from a neutral point of view, I just don't want him over at Anfield.
Yeah, we do love a signing from Hull, by the way. Andy Robertson came in eventually via Hull as well. So, we have form in that area. Let's put it that way. So when you heard that Liverpool were linked with Jarrod Bowen, had you got any inkling of this beforehand before it hit the media? Because I've got to be honest with you, Corey, it absolutely took me by surprise. I didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah, I still find it quite hard to believe, but I think just purely because of Jurgen Klopp, and like you mentioned, Liverpool's business, when you look at some of the players that you brought in that haven't necessarily been at a world-class level, it does kind of make sense from a Jurgen Klopp recruitment standpoint. So I did kind of believe it. The Athletic reporting it obviously adds a level of credibility that I thought, okay, maybe we've got to take this seriously. But because of the dynamics of it, you're only really bringing in Bowen to provide competition to the front three and given a rotation option. For me, I still thought he's never going to leave West Ham. You look at Liverpool, the amount of money that I think you'd have to offer currently, given his position in our side, it'll be a fair amount. It'll be a fair whack, and something that I don't think Liverpool will look to pay.
Yeah, on the figure, actually, I mean, I'm going to throw numbers at you that I'd seen and just see how you think. From the numbers I'd seen, they range from 30 to 35, 40 million quid. That's the kind of price range that I've been seeing thrown around.
Yeah, it was 35 million, I think, that the Athletic reported. Again, I just don't think it's enough to get him out of West Ham. Yeah, I think, we've got to have a conversation as a player like this, and I think we're seeing this in the Premier League a fair bit now. Obviously, Jack Grealish going up the road. Ben White's gone to Arsenal for £50 million. I think these clubs where West Ham are at are obviously charging a certain amount of money, and they expect clubs to pay for it if you want it. I just can't see West Ham letting him go really for less than 45 if it was to provoke it. Not because he's worth that as a player, but because of what he means to West Ham, because of the potential, how important he is to David Moyes. And also, I can't see for the life of me Liverpool paying that money. It just wouldn't make any sense for me. I know you've done it in the past with Jota, where a couple of people said maybe that's slightly overpriced, but for me, I just can't see it. You've got 4 forwards at the minute. To go and spend 45 million or 40 million on another one would be great for rotation, but it's just not feasible.
What you've said there's a really good point, actually, because a lot of the times we think of, okay, what is a player's market value? What would Jarrod Bowen be worth? But then you do have to ask the question that you've rightly put there. What's he worth to West Ham? So what would Grealish be worth to Villa? You know, it's one thing what the buying club wants, but what you could potentially lose and what that could cost long term is something we as fans often just don't think about.
Yeah, exactly. I think West Ham fans probably have had to think about it a little bit more. Like I said, clubs like Aston Villa, Leeds, they'll think about their players and their assets and say, Brighton in particular, with Ben White is the best example, and it has completely changed the market in terms of going and purchasing a player like that. 50 million for Ben White is a lot of money, but to Brighton, that's exactly what they wanted. And you're finding these top six clubs, they're going to have to pay that money. So there is a change in dynamic, actually, in terms of power plays between these clubs now. And I think it's great for me because I think it means that West Ham are trying to build something genuinely. We're having the same problem with Declan Rice and Chelsea fans moaning about the price tag that we've put on him. A lot of the time, you put price tags on that players like that because you just don't want them to leave. And you just need unrealistic price and money to come in that's going to sway you. So I can only praise the approach. I think it's the right approach for clubs like West Ham to take, and probably a little bit difficult for you lot to swallow. You're trying to get players in and you're probably getting the ump that West Ham saying you can't have him.
No, I absolutely get it with Jarrod Bowen, but I'll be honest with you, mate. I find it almost disrespectful, some of the Declan Rice stuff that I've seen. I mean, some Chelsea fans I've seen think he's theirs at this point. Like, it's going to be... Like, I'm talking to you about a potential deal for Jarrod Bowen, what he might bring, what he might not bring. But nowhere in my mind am I assuming he's coming in. But it seems a different thing with Declan Rice.
You're bang on. That is interesting. Yeah, I haven't really thought about it. I think the Chelsea thing is a regular battle that West Ham fans have got to kind of fight with them. There is a real belief from a Chelsea point of view, and it is because he grew up in the Chelsea academy. He is a Chelsea fan. Those things do stand, that he's one of their own, and him and Mason are obviously great mates and things like that. We have to remind them that, of course, they released him when he was 15. He's played for West Ham regularly for 5 seasons. And more importantly, above everything, he's got a 3-year contract with the club. So he isn't yours. And if you do want him, you're going to have to spend 80 million plus, in my opinion. That's what we value him at. That's what he should go for. And if they don't want to buy him, then fair enough. But they can't. What I quite enjoy is them trying to guilt trip West Ham fans into saying, well, he won't be worth that next summer. I honestly don't care. I'm loving West Ham trying to get Tammy Abraham, Kurt Zouma and Declan Rice all in while not giving Chelsea Declan. That's an ideal situation for me. So, yeah, it's been quite enjoyable, at least with Liverpool fans. There's more of a healthier debate rather than he's our player. We just can't wait to snatch him.
Imagine how I feel seeing him kissing the Irish badge, playing the senior international, and going for nothing. Going for nothing all over to England, mate. That wasn't great. But on the Jarrod Bowen thing, before we move on to some possible maybe moves the other direction from Liverpool potentially to West Ham, what if it came about, if we did sign him, and I know these are a lot of ifs and I'm stretching, what would be the attributes that you think he could bring to this Liverpool team?
Put my neutral hat on. I think he works incredibly hard off the ball. You look at the system that he's playing at West Ham. We're playing a 4-2-3-1. He can get very, very close to the striker. He does play almost like an inside forward. You look at Salah, Mane, the way that they operate within the box. Again, they're getting opportunities in central areas. Jarrod thrives on that. He got 20 goals for Hull City in the Championship playing in that style. But like I said, work rate on the wide areas, protecting the fullbacks as well. I know your system's slightly different because of the way your midfielders protect Trent Alexander-Arnold when he gets forward, but that's something that I feel that he could offer if Salah didn't offer or Salah wasn't playing, and it gives Jurgen something to play with. He's a good presser. He's got great energy. His end product and his decision-making does need to improve for me, but that's only natural given his age. I think he will develop composure. Some of the finishes that he can pull off, honestly, that he did last season in pre-season against Celtic, a lovely little deft touch. He just gets in the right areas. So I do think it makes sense. You know, I think for Liverpool, when you bring in players, it's not just about the quality going forward. It is about the energy and the pressing style of play. And Jarrod would fit that. So when it came out, the rumour, I wasn't completely shocked by it because when you actually look at him as a player, he would fit certain games for Liverpool, certainly.
It shocked me for a couple of reasons. One, Harvey Elliott. That was one of the reasons it kind of shocked me. I'm thinking, okay, Harvey Elliott, you know, he's going to have a breakthrough season. But also, if there's one thing I know about Liverpool and their owners is they like value. And we've touched on this. There's a premium, particularly this summer, for Premier League to Premier League moves. And I would have always assumed that we try and free up an overseas squad place and go look in that direction. Now, on that, one way we could potentially free up an overseas squad place is by selling the likes of Divock Origi. And, you know, I know that he's a name that's been mentioned, along with actually Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, surprisingly enough, to West Ham. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on those two.
It's interesting. I mean, look, we brought Jesse Lingard in January. He was a bit of a cast off, and then look at the way that he performed. I think we do have to be a little bit reserved in sometimes going off at the deep end. My honest opinion is I really rate Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain as a football player when he's playing, when he's active. He's a great technical player, great energy. There are so many attributes that he would offer to West Ham. The injuries, the inconsistency, we cannot afford to have that with a number of games. And I do think, given the way that we play, there's no natural position for Oxlade-Chamberlain to play unless we changed our formation. Origi's an interesting one because we do need a number 9, so it would make more sense. Again, like I touched on before we went live, a player that I just haven't seen enough of to really give enough credence as to whether he would be a good fit for West Ham. I can only assume he's played in the Liverpool side for a certain amount of time, where he's used to high press, high energy. We do need that from our number 9. Work rate off the board, if I'm trying to be serious about it. Some nice finishes against Barcelona and Tottenham in the Champions League final. Again, if you're trying to find a real decent attribute. The problem with Origi is I just don't feel that he's playing regularly enough to get his value up. If I was a Liverpool fan, I would be thinking, loan him out for a season to a certain club if you're going to go and sell him to bring his value up. Because at the minute, it's a risk. That's the way that I would look at it for West Ham. The only way he comes into West Ham is if we get to the end of the window and we're scrambling around for another striker, because I do think we'll get 2, he would be an option. But for face value, again, I think it's a little bit too much of a risk given where we're at.
I can understand that. I mean, I've been very frustrated by Divock Origi, and some people think I've been too harsh on him. And the reason that I've been frustrated is because I've seen glimpses of what he's capable of. I've seen the fast footwork, I've seen the pace, the direct run, and being able to finish. But to me, it kind of plays into what you said. He feels like a confidence player to me. And I don't know if you can have that level of confidence when you have a Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Diogo Jota, ahead of you, of Bobby Firmino even. I mean, how much game time realistically you're going to have to play, because you're going to come in, and if you don't hit the ground running immediately, someone else is taking your spot. So I think if somebody does take a punt on Divock Origi, I think he'll actually turn out all right if you can get him at the right price.
Yeah, I agree. Look, you can't write him off as a player. Obviously, he was highly rated when you brought him in. He was even in the Belgium setup when he came in. You loaned him out again. He come, and he's just not getting enough game time for his development. And listen, it's hard to get in front of that front three. Let's be honest. You add Jota to that, and it's nigh on impossible. And again, I don't know too much about the mentality of the player. I think with Diogo Jota, what's really impressed me is he's almost been accepting that at times he won't play and at times he will, and he'll be able to rotate. And when he's been given his opportunity, he's really taken it. And I think Divock may just be one of those players where you've got to give me 10, 15 games for me to get into the rhythm of things. And then even from that perspective, if we bring him to West Ham, it wouldn't quite make sense because he would be a rotation option, if a player was injured or it's a cup competition. So from his point of view as a career, is it the right move to go to West Ham? I'd probably not say either. So it's an interesting one what you do with it. You're trying to raise funds and there's no clear buyer for him. I don't know. I think a loan would probably suit him to some club. Just get his confidence up and get his value up.
What I would say is, from everything that I've read over this time at Liverpool, I've never really seen him moaning publicly or anything like that. He set up a scholarship in Liverpool, which made a lot of us think that maybe, this is the last thing he does before he moves on. So I think there's a good lad in there. And like you, I just hope wherever he ends up, I don't wish anybody bad. It didn't work out at Liverpool. I genuinely hope the lad goes on wherever it might be and does really well. So any more little bits of potential incomings or anything at your end? I know you said you were looking at Tammy Abraham. Do you think that was rather unlikely?
No, I think it's likely. I think business has sort of progressed in the last week or so, definitely. We brought Alphonse Areola in on a loan, which I think is a top goalkeeper. We're looking at 2 number 1s going into this season with Fabianski and him. So I'm excited to see him. We do need a centre-back, a long-term centre-back. I've been relatively happy with our centre-back options. I think we've always been defensively well coached. But the option of a Kurt Zouma intrigues me. Again, experienced, aggressive, athletic, perfect partner to Angelo Ogbonna. Matheus Pereira is a player that West Ham have been really closely linked with, and I think there is talks. West Ham are definitely talking to West Brom. It's just about that price tag and whether we can get him. A brilliant player. You look at some of our creative players going into next season, Fornals, Benrahma, Pereira. That's exciting. But Tammy's the big one, isn't he? Because we've only got Mikel Antonio, and he went down yesterday against Brentford, and I had my head in my hands thinking, listen, we can't go into another season with no striker, no U-team striker on the bench to call upon, no senior striker. Tammy is, for me, is absolutely the priority. And Chelsea are looking to lower that price tag. If it's 30 million, I can just see him being a West Ham player. I know he's been linked with Arsenal, and if Arsenal come in, then it's difficult for him not to turn his head. But I can just see him being a West Ham player. There's too much riding on it from our side. And wouldn't he love to just link up with Declan Rice at West Ham? They're good mates as well. He doesn't need to go to Chelsea, Declan. So I'm hopeful 4 or 5 signings by the end of the window. But listen, this is West Ham. It could be anything from 1 to 2 at this rate. So everything crossed, mate.
It could be the making of him, because he definitely feels like the type of striker that wants to feel the love. I mean, when he was at Villa on loan previously and stuff as well, I think it could be a good move for him. And did I read somewhere that there is, I don't want to say uncertainty, but there's something going on with Kufal? I'm sure I've read that somewhere.
No, that's right. Yeah, obviously West Ham up to their old tricks, or at least with the board. The board aren't offering contracts to reflect the player's performance, essentially. It's happened with Declan Rice as well. He wants a new contract. He's not being offered the money, which is insane to me. He should be West Ham's top earner. Soufal's another one where he was unbelievable last season, and they aren't offering the correct terms. This is the problem with West Ham and our owners. It always feels like 1 step forwards and 2 steps back, and you can't lose a core of the squad that was so successful last season. I don't think it goes anywhere. I honestly think he loves West Ham. He's got Souček, his mate there. And I think he's a top right back. In fact, I think he's probably one of the better right backs in the Premier League. And I can't think of too many that are coming in one season and done so well. So I'm hopeful he'll stay. I don't think he's going to go anywhere, of course, unless someone comes in for him. But it's typical West Ham. I've got to be honest. I think Felipe Anderson was here. Yarmolenko's still here on high wages. And those wages are taking up what's needed for Declan and Soufal. So, yeah, I forgot about that. That's not making me feel too good, because I actually went under the radar. But it's true. That is the truth, apparently.
Yeah, look, mate, who are you talking to with regards to frustration with owners? I mean, we've had a ridiculously quiet window so far at our end. But before I let you go, buddy, I want to catch up with you throughout the season, of course. But where can people find you? What have you got coming up? And what's your prediction for West Ham this season?
West Ham way, obviously kicking off with the content now. I'm doing a couple of transfer videos, player profiles, etc. I'm really hopeful in the next couple of weeks or so that there are going to be a fair few player profiles. Got some guests on as well to discuss players across the continent. Trying to do a matchday vlog next week for the pre-season. That'll be really interesting. Hopes for West Ham this season. I think we'll dip. I think naturally we will dip. The number of European games is going to take its toll on the squad, I think, at some points. But I really trust David Moyes, how we're playing in pre-season. We're much better on the ball. We're more progressive. There's a slightly different style. And again, we've shown that we can be a counter-attacking side. But I think Moyes wants to take it up another gear, get the right players. And I think we finished top half. But listen, the competition out there this season, that's why I want us to recruit. Because you look at Villa, Arsenal have gone again. Tottenham will go again. If they can keep Harry Kane, that's a problem. So I think 9th would be a really good season for West Ham. I'd love to see us get to a quarter-final of the Europa League as well. Show a little bit of ambition. But I can't complain, Craig. Probably the first time I met you, I thought West Ham could have got relegated or at least been in and around there. So the art we're on at the minute is really impressive, and I'm just hoping it continues.
As always, mate, I wish you nothing but the best as long as you finish below us. That's all I ask.
I think you're pretty safe. Don't worry. You're pretty safe, mate. Don't worry. This season we pushed it close last, but no, we'll see what happens.
It's always a pleasure catching up, Corey, and no doubt we'll catch up during the season as well. Ladies and gentlemen, all the links to Corey's socials will be in the description of the stream. Thank you for giving up your time, mate, for a chat. I really do appreciate it. And look, let's wait and see what happens with Jarrod Bowen, because it's a head scratcher. I'll admit it. It just came from nowhere.
He's West Ham through and through. He ain't going anywhere. Don't worry about it, guys. It's fine.
Love it, Corey. I'll be the very same. Thank you very much, mate, and we will catch up soon.